The Pitchsider. Pitchside for every game.
Hello and welcome back to the Pitchsider Podcast. So, Premier League is officially back, as well as La Liga and Ligue 1, with the Bundesliga and Serie A to commence, I believe, next week. But definitely a lot has happened. There's been a few big transfers this week, which we'll get on to later on this podcast. Let's get into the Premier League. So as I mentioned, Premier League is now officially back. So we will just do a quick rundown of what's happened from the first match day. So starting on Friday, we had the opening game, which was Man City versus Burnley. This ended 3-0 to Man City. Newcastle played Aston Villa, ending 5-1 to Newcastle. Crystal Palace beat newly promoted Sheffield United 1-0. Fulham beat Everton 1-0. Brighton beat Luton 4-1. Bournemouth and West Ham drew 1-1. Arsenal beat Forest 2-1. Chelsea and Liverpool drew in a end-to-end game. And Brentford and Tottenham drew 2-2 with each other. And as of this podcast releasing, we also do have Manchester United versus Wolverhampton. Looks like it's going to be a walkover for the newly United team, with Wolverhampton having issues, as we mentioned in the previous podcasts. Also, United have a whole host of new appearances, and it looks like Onana and Mount are set to get their debuts from this, and Wolves obviously have the newly appointed Gary O'Neill manager, and could hand a second debut to Matt Doherty, who rejoined from Atletico Madrid. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes. Definitely a few interesting games. Obviously now football's back. All of our hype can now get sort of put to one side, and we can see how the teams react. Man City left off where they were pretty much starting, winning 3-0 against the newly promoted Burnley, with Vincent Kompany making his return to the Etihad. So interesting. I believe Haaland got 2 of the goals. Rodri also got the second. So Haaland obviously continuing where he left off. This did put them top. Pretty standard game from both sides here. Wouldn't expect Burnley to make much of an upset here. The Arsenal got off to start winning ways against Nottingham Forest. Forest did have a sort of a resurgent at the end of the game, so be interesting. But Arsenal did suffer an injury to their new centre-back, Timber, so it'll be interesting to see how long he is out for. Probably one of the games to watch was Aston Villa versus Newcastle on this day. Aston Villa obviously made some impressive signings this week, and we would have tipped them to be sort of a dark horse of the Premier League. Still time to tell whether they will be. Newcastle managed to get a big victory, which led them to top of the table after this weekend so far. Tinani scoring on his debut. Isak got 2, Wilson got 1, and Barnes on his debut as well. Barnes had a good game, getting an assist and a goal on his debut. So definitely, perfect debut for them. Definitely was a thrill of a game. Definitely one to watch. Newcastle definitely a team that everyone will want to watch and see. So it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. Most of the week and most of the week was definitely done. Was in the news by Liverpool and Chelsea. Obviously, if you've been hiding under a rock, you would have known about the Caicedo deal and Lavia. Both get onto them a bit later on. Both tug of war between Chelsea and Liverpool, which is still going on as we speak. Both teams clashed heads on Sunday, which was probably the game to watch of the weekend leading up. If you want to go and rewatch any of the games, definitely check out the Newcastle versus Aston Villa game. This Chelsea-Liverpool game was very good to watch. Liverpool getting lead with Diaz in the 18th minute, and then followed by Salah getting a goal disallowed. And then Chelsea's new signing, Dissier, the centre-back, got a equaliser on the 37th minute. And then had a goal ruled out for Chilwell about 2 minutes later, and they were the only goal, so it ended 1-1, so continues their run of draws. I think this was the first goal as well, scored in 4 games as well for Chelsea, and Liverpool. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. But both teams look very good. Poch's team, very good. All players sort of played well. Enzo was a standout for the team. But yeah, Liverpool obviously did really well attacking. Both teams defensively would need a little bit of work. Both need sort of a CDM. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see who they will get. So the Premier League been interesting. Not anything to stand out at the moment. No surprises as of yet. No Luton winning 5-0 at the moment. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. Obviously, looking at the table, Newcastle are top with Brighton, with Man City and Arsenal. And this leads to Aston Villa, Burnley and Luton all in the relegation zone. But you can't really tell with most leagues until 6-7 games in where most people are going to leave up. But yeah, looking on early form, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see, especially as some of these teams play, like Man City versus Newcastle will be an interesting game. Sort of Arsenal, Newcastle, City, whether Chelsea and Liverpool can keep up, whether Tottenham, with Harry Kane leaving now, as we go on to later, can they sort of get resurgent, or will they lack some goal scoring opportunities? Time will tell. It's going to be an interesting season. Let's move on to the European leagues. So as I mentioned, we had the La Liga and Ligue 1. Focus more on La Liga at the moment. So we've had the first round so far. So on Sunday we had Celta Vigo versus Osasuna, which ended 2-0. Real Betis beat Villarreal 2-1. Barcelona and Getafe was 0-0. Real Sociedad and Granada was 1-1. Las Palmas and Mallorca was 1-1. Real Madrid won 2-0 against Atletico Bilbao without a Courtois, and we're getting his ACL. Real Vallecano beat Almeria 2-0, and Valencia beat Seville 2-1. Currently playing Ceuta versus Alvarez is 1-0, and Atletico Madrid play Granada tonight, after this podcast has been released. Again, it's a league where anything can happen at the moment. Obviously, Atletico Bilbao, Villarreal and Sevilla, all teams that you don't expect to be losing at the moment. But yeah, it's going to be interesting and see where some of these teams come up, whether the newly promoted teams can sort of get draws, whether they can stay up, whether they can fight. It's going to be interesting to see. In Ligue 1, so this week we had Nice versus Lille, which ended 1-1. PSG versus Lorient ended 0-0. Marseille versus Reims ended 2-1 to Marseille. Strasbourg beat Lyon 2-1. Rennes beat Mainz 5-1. Tourcoing beat Nantes 2-1. Montpellier and Le Havre drew 2-2. Monaco versus Clermont ended 4-2. Brest versus Lens ended 3-2. So having a look at the table, obviously there's only 18 teams now in the Ligue 1. PSG are the shock, and Lyon to be down in mid-table, not winning their first game. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes, whether PSG sort of a different team as they start their rebuild, or whether they're a team that will gradually build up and get some steam once they get their new players settled in. So it'll be interesting to see. So at the moment won't go into too much depth of these games. Obviously, it's why first game of the season, not much to sort of talk about. Be interesting to see how teams go into the third and fourth games. Definitely keep you up to date as these teams progress. The only other things to mention in It's in Germany. There's been some games, but we won't cover them as this week in the Italian and German games. But yeah, it'd be interesting. The biggest game in Germany was Deutsche B Cup. There's one game we want to mention in this, which is the Bayern Munich versus RB Leipzig game. So obviously this was a big game as Harry Kane made his debut for Bayern Munich, which they did lose 3-0. First time they've lost 3-0 in a cup final to RB Leipzig. So unfortunately, no trophy on his debut for Harry Kane. But yeah, probably will win a lot of trophies at Bayern Munich, as they always do. So yes, a little roundup there. But yeah, let's move on to some transfers. A lot to talk about. We'll go through some of the confirmed transfers before we get on to some more rumours. So Wernhaus has joined Hoffenheim on loan from Burnley. Luton have signed Ross Barkley for free. Sander Berg has joined Burnley from Sheffield United. Sheffield United have signed Victor Sosola from La Mana, and Matt Turner has joined Forest from Arsenal. Aaron Scott has joined Bournemouth for 25 million, joining Max Aarons there as well from Nottingham Forest. Alvarez has joined West Ham for 35 million, and Jack Burns has joined Luton from Stoke. Johan Schermenti has joined Everton from Sporting Lisbon for 15 million. Adama Traore has joined Fulham for free. Wilson Obala has joined Burnley for an undisclosed fee, and Gusto Hammer has joined Sheffield United from Coventry. Harry Kane has left Tottenham to join Bayern Munich for 95 million, and Ousmane Dembele has joined PSG from Barcelona for 43.5 million. Fred has joined Fenerbahce from Manchester United for an undisclosed fee. Moises Caicedo has joined Chelsea for 100 million, which has been after a transfer embargo. There is 15 million add-ons here. Jack Harrison has joined Everton on loan from Leeds. James Ward-Prowse has joined West Ham for 30 million. Kepa Arrizabalaga has joined Real Madrid on loan from Chelsea. And Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain has joined Besiktas for free from Liverpool. So definitely a lot of transfers. The biggest two is Harry Kane leaving Tottenham after 11 years at the club. Big loss for Tottenham, as we mentioned. They need to now get a replacement in. But yeah, 95 million is a lot for him. So hopefully he will do well in there. Chelsea have signed Moises Caicedo. Pretty much like as recording of this episode has gone through. One of the biggest transfers of the summer so far. Transfer Saga. Chelsea were trying to put in £100 million bid, and then Liverpool came along and put £110 million. And then Chelsea now put in £115 million bid. This also links to Lavia. Both clubs are after Lavia. Chelsea did put a £48 million bid for Lavia, which got rejected, but then also now had a £55 million bid accepted. And then Liverpool have now bidded £60 million for Lavia. But he apparently, according to sources, his desired club is to join Chelsea. So Chelsea look to be completing Moises Caicedo and Lavia this week in time for their game for West Ham. There's also news around Chelsea. Obviously, they've let Kepa go, so it looks like they will be in the market for a new keeper. They also have they also rumour for Lukaku to join either Tottenham in replacement for Harry Kane or for Juventus, which is more likely. Chelsea also targeting Elise from Crystal Palace for £45 million. So yeah, Chelsea definitely haven't done their transfer business as they look to reinforce a lot of areas of their club, but they did look good against Liverpool yesterday. Neymar has been rumoured to be joining Al Hilal. It looks like this is almost a done deal now. So yeah, definitely going to be an interesting one to see where he goes. Al Hilal are also interested in Mitrovic as they revive their interest in the Serbian striker. Newcastle are looking to either loan Kieran Tierney or Mark Cucurella from Chelsea. Kieran Tierney is also linked to Real Sociedad, so it might be that Mark Cucurella ends up going to Newcastle as they want a left back on loan. Tottenham are considering a move for Balogun from Arsenal after Harry Kane has left. Liverpool, Bayern Munich, PSG are all interested in Ibrahim Saga. The PSG rejected an offer from Nottingham Forest as he looks to be moving to a bigger club. Bayern Munich have rejected Manchester United's offer for Benjamin Pavard, but Pavard is pushing to join United, who is expecting to make an improved bid. United are also considering Onana from Everton as they await his value. Anthony Martial is set to hold talks with Manchester United, where West Ham, one of the three clubs interested in for him. Ajax are set to sign former England under-21 Chuba Akpom from Middlesbrough for $10 million. Kyle Walker will turn down Bayern Munich's offer and sign a new contract with Man City. Man City will consider Elite if they fail to sign Brazilian midfielder Lucas Paquetá from West Ham. Liverpool also are interested in Ravia. Juventus are keen to open discussions about Romelu Lukaku, and Netherlands midfielder wants to stay at Barcelona for life despite links to United. Also, Harry Maguire is linked to West Ham for £30 million, joining James Ward-Prowse there as well, as West Ham look to bolster their squad. Still transfers happening. Probably have missed quite a few this week. Trying to do a little bit shorter episodes this week. But we'll be back to full length next week with hopefully a non-league roundup for you for the last couple of weeks that have happened, and definitely with a full round of fixtures from each league. Hope you had a good week. Look forward to seeing you next week, and enjoy the football now it is back. So thank you for listening, and goodbye.
For all the latest news, transfers, and football articles, check out thepitchsider.com. It's the place to be. Contact us on our socials. Instagram and Twitter is @thepitchsider, or via email is thepitchsider@hotmail.com.